Extremism. They were all over this, and they put out a very interesting, compelling report back in early 2017 outlining what it is and the threat it poses, likely motivated to target law enforcement officers. And here's the thing, BIE, if we call it that, well, clearly the man who is alleged to have shot up that subway car earlier this week in Brooklyn, this is a black identity extremist. At least that's my take. But unfortunately, it seems the FBI either won't or is even prohibited from pursuing black identity suspects. We'd like to bring in Kyle Shideler. He is a senior analyst at the Center for Security Policy. He put out a very interesting report about this matter. Kyle, welcome to Newsmax. How are you?
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, Kyle, what is the deal? BIE, it seems like that we've seen it. We now know what it is. It makes sense. Why would the FBI be discouraged from calling these matters what they are?
Well, as you noted, they put out that analytical product about black identity extremism in 2017, and it's a very good product. It's a very moderate product. It's well researched. It's very serious. And there wasn't really a problem until someone from Congress leaked in 2019 that the FBI was conducting briefs about black identity extremism to Congress. This then got out into the media and the left-wing advocacy space, and you immediately had groups like the Brennan Center for Justice, the ACLU, and similar type groups immediately targeting the FBI's use of this term. This led to hearings led by the Congressional Black Caucus, where they called the FBI to task for even using the words. And this led the FBI to immediately back away and say, oh, you know, we're not going to use that term anymore. We're going to use a far more broad and essentially useless and euphemistic term. And the problem with any bureaucracy is if you can't name a thing, you can't deal with it. And so if the FBI can't use the words black identity extremism, they have no way to describe, no way to understand, no way to analyze the types of social media posts that we saw from this individual in New York City. His posts, if you look at his social media, if you listen to his YouTube, he is very clearly a black identity extremist. He has clearly internalized issues of racial separatism, concerns about policing, and he had very strong and very violent opinions about that. Now, if the FBI looked into that and they did not know what they were looking at, or they did not know how to talk about what they were looking at, did that cause them to clear him when they should have taken some other operational step?
And clearly, look, I'm not in law enforcement. I am a consumer of the news. I hate white supremacy, but I don't see much of it. In fact, I see extremely little. I think there are 4 guys somewhere in the woods who believe in white supremacy. Yet they talk it up all the time. And it's fascinating that they just can't be straight with us and maybe even straight with themselves. I'm talking about the FBI and Congress.
Well, look at the difference in reaction when Republican members of Congress started to raise questions about the Department of Justice and the FBI looking into protesters at school board meetings. And the FBI has still, to this day, as far as I know, refused to answer questions about that. They refused to give Republican congressmen documents about that effort, where on the left side of the aisle, you have a number of left-leaning organizations and congressmen complain, and the FBI immediately kowtows to what they want. So you're getting a form of politicization when they are making choices about what to investigate based on how much hassle they're going to get and who they can ignore and who they have to take seriously.
Earlier in the show, we played a montage of various liberals being very, very upset about the black identity extremist label. They don't want to hear it. Now they don't have to hear it. But you mentioned the kowtowing and the caving and the giving in right away. Why do they give in so easily? Are they just afraid of being yelled at in these hearings? Is it like they're afraid of their budget being cut? What do you think? And that might be outside your purview, but why would they retreat from something so easily when it's clearly a problem?
I mean, I think it has something to do with the command of the culture, the command of the media. We saw a very well orchestrated media information campaign when they started to target the FBI to deal with this term, Black identity extremism. It wasn't just a single hearing. It was a regular drumbeat of organizations and groups and various community activists. And so they were able to create a real sense of outrage. Something that the right politically doesn't really have the ability to do. We have a number of good congressmen that raise serious questions about DOJ behavior, and that's very positive. But they don't have the kind of steady drumbeat and the cultural power that some of the left-wing organizations simply have. So the FBI listens to them, or the DOJ listens to them, and they don't listen to the right. Of course, it helps, of course, that we're talking about the Biden Department of Justice, which has been very anxious to do the Biden administration's bidding over the past several years.
What a shame. What a shame. But we are so pleased that you're on this, sir. Please check out the Center for Security Policy. And Kyle Shideler, forgive me, but what is your website?
Securefreedom.org.
Securefreedom.org. Thank you, sir, and we'll be right back.